Deep within the snowy peaks of feudal Japan, a legendary sensei posed a riddle that shattered his students' reality. Takeshi, if 10 warriors surround you, how many do you strike down? The young prodigy answered without hesitation, "All 10, master." The elder sighed deeply. Incorrect. You defeat 0. By anticipating the 10th kill, you have already surrendered to the first. This was the deadly paradox of the samurai. True dominance flows not from aggression, but from absolute stillness. It isn't about the blade you hold, but the quietude you harbor. Warriors who grasped this truth became myths. Those who missed it became dust. And here is the secret most ignore. This isn't just about combat. It is about existence. Currently, you are battling 10 wars at once: career, romance, fitness, destiny. And you are losing every single one for the exact reason soldiers fell 4 centuries ago. Your mind is everywhere but here. You obsess over 10 problems instead of solving the one directly ahead. The question remains, are you prepared to master what the samurai protected? The year is 1615. The nation has finally found peace under the Tokugawa rule. Yet, in the remote highlands of Hida, one school preserves the lethal traditions of the past. Takeshi was 17 when humiliation broke him. He had dedicated 5 years to the dojo. 5 years of calligraphy, scripture, and silent sitting. His forms were immaculate, his strikes were swift, exacting, and mechanically superb. However, he carried a flaw that repetition could not cure: anxiety. Whenever he sparred with Bakken, wooden practice weapons, Takeshi's thoughts spiraled. Will I get bruised? Will I face defeat? Does the master perceive my frailty? His muscles would lock up. His breath turned rapid and thin. His flawless technique would disintegrate into panic. Whispers circulated among the cohort. Takeshi has the moves, but lacks the soul. He thinks too loudly. The final trial will break him. The trial, the ultimate graduation that transformed pupils into warriors. A live duel against the sensei, using real steel. Not a fight to the death, but a confrontation where death felt guaranteed. Most disciples faced this at 18. Takeshi was nearly there, yet Master Yamamoto remained silent. One evening, Takeshi confronted his teacher. The old sage sat in seiza, the formal kneeling posture, before the shrine, lost in the void. Takeshi bowed and waited. 5 minutes turned to 15. Eventually, Yamamoto-sensei's eyes unsealed. "Master," Takeshi stammered, his confidence waning, "when do I face the trial?" The teacher analyzed him. Those eyes had witnessed countless skirmishes and guided endless souls. They missed nothing. "Technically, you are prepared today," Yamamoto replied. "But technical skill is worthless. I am confused, master." "Rise, draw your weapon." Takeshi stood, gripping his wooden sword. "Strike me down." Takeshi hoisted the weapon, but his knuckles turned white. His teacher was unarmed and seated? It was a fatal opening, yet he froze. "I cannot, master." "Why?" "Because you are my teacher. It is sacrilege." Yamamoto's expression turned to stone. "Respect? False. You are deceiving yourself. You are terrified. Terrified of the aftermath. Terrified of judgment. Terrified of error. Your spirit is fractured into 10 pieces, nowhere near the only place that counts. Here, now, this instant." The critique struck Takeshi harder than a fist. "Until you inhabit the present, you are no samurai. You are merely a corpse with elegant form. Go contemplate this." That night, sleep evaded him. He sat in his quarters, watching moonlight creep across the tatami. He had given 5 years to this path, years of agony, restraint, and grit. And he was failing, not due to physical limits, but mental chaos. He recalled the master's diagnosis. "Your spirit is fractured." It was undeniable. In every clash, Takeshi worried about the result, about vanity, about survival, about everything except the clash itself. As the sun crested, Takeshi made a vow. He would unlock this secret, whatever the cost. At sunrise, Master Yamamoto declared, "Put away the swords. Today we purify." The cohort groaned silently, but maintained their composure. Discipline. For the entire duration of sunlight, they swept mats, scrubbed planks, polished steel, and aligned the altar. It was drudgery, or so Takeshi believed. He pushed a broom across the same grain he had walked 1,000 times. His focus drifted. "This is futile. I require training. The trial approaches. I must sharpen my edge, not battle dust." Then he observed something strange. The master was also sweeping, yet his method was distinct. Every motion was intentional, anchored, final. When he moved left, the universe moved left. When he moved right, nothing else existed. There was a gravity to his labor, a density of being that turned a chore into a ritual. Takeshi watched, mesmerized. When the work concluded, the teacher summoned him. "What did you absorb today, Takeshi?" He paused. "That cleanliness is vital to the dojo." Yamamoto smiled sadly. "Incorrect. Follow me." They entered the small meditation annex. A solitary scroll adorned the wall, displaying 2 fluid characters, Shoshin. The master spoke. "Beginner's mind. Do you grasp this? To learn like a novice? Deeper. When a novice grips a blade for the first time, what fills his thoughts?" Takeshi pondered. "Wonder? The mechanics?" "Correct. And what else?" "Nothing. Just the steel. Just the act." "Precisely. The beginner's mind is void of assumptions, void of terror, void of everything but the immediate. The novice does not fantasize about becoming a legend. He considers only this grip, this foot, this arc." The master resumed seiza. Takeshi mirrored him. "Confess, Takeshi, when you sweep, where is your awareness?" Takeshi felt the heat of embarrassment. "Elsewhere, planning training, fearing the test, imagining tomorrow." "And when you spar, the same. Fixating on results, on reputation, on disaster. You are perpetually absent. You sweep while fighting imaginary duels. You duel while worrying about exams. You are always one step removed from truth. This is why you crumble." The critique was soft but total. A warrior's primary weapon is not the katana. It is presence, zanshin, lingering awareness, fudoshin, immovable spirit, mushin, no mind. These all converge on one reality, total immersion. He pointed to the calligraphy. "Shoshin is the bedrock. Purge your head of 10,000 distractions. Confront only what stands before you." Takeshi gazed at the ink. "Shoshin. Master, how is this practiced?" Yamamoto rose. "Starting now, you train differently. Every act, eating, stepping, cleaning, swinging, must be done with absolute fidelity. When you dine, just dine. When you stride, just stride. When you cut, there is only the cut. Nothing else survives." "For how long?" "Until you see. A month, a decade, or never. It falls to you." That evening, Takeshi began. He sat for zazen. Instead of chasing enlightenment, he simply sat, breathing, existing. Thoughts invaded. Is this correct? Is it working? Will I fail? He noted the intrusion and returned to the breath. Here, now, only this. It was the most grueling task of his life. If you are starting to see how presence could rewrite your destiny, just as it did for Takeshi, join our brotherhood at Winds of Thought. Subscribe and travel this road with us as we decode ancient discipline for modern dominance. The initial week was pure suffering. Takeshi's brain revolted against the stillness. Every task felt impossibly tedious. Breakfast lasted an eon. Walking to the hall felt like trudging through swamp water. His ego screamed, "This is absurd! You are losing time!" Rivals are advancing while you just exist. But he endured because the master had illuminated a path, and he would walk it until the cliff's edge. Week 2 brought a fracture in the wall. During dawn meditation, Takeshi felt a shift. For a heartbeat, the relentless narration in his skull vanished. Not through force, but cessation. In that vacuum, he heard the pine needles rustling, the timber settling, his own pulse. It felt like surfacing from deep water, realizing he had been drowning his whole life. The silence broke. The noise returned. But Takeshi now knew the silence was attainable. Reality was waiting. He doubled his effort. When sweeping, he became the sweep. The friction of straw on cedar, the vibration in his wrists, that was the cosmos. When eating, he identified every texture. He chewed with intent, honoring the fuel. When walking, every stride was a universe. Heel, arch, toe, shift. Peers thought he had snapped. Takeshi moves like a geriatric. He eats like a prisoner. Has he abandoned the sword? The master observed, silent, waiting. Week 3 delivered the proving ground, a sparring match. Takeshi faced Kenji, a gifted duelist who had already cleared his final trial. They both held wooden blades. The old Takeshi would have spiraled. Kenji is superior. Defeat will humiliate me. I must dazzle the master. The new Takeshi simply stood, rooted. Kenji lunged, a swift vertical slash. Then a miracle occurred. Takeshi's frame moved without consultation. He pivoted, parried, and struck in one liquid sequence. No cognition, no delay. Pure reflex. Kenji stumbled, bewildered. They reset, engaged again. This time, Takeshi wasn't fighting Kenji. He was merging with the instant. When Kenji shifted, Takeshi adapted, not from memory, but from direct perception. It was as if the duel was flowing through him, not by him. The bout concluded. Kenji bowed low. That was foreign. You have evolved. Takeshi returned the bow, mute. Internally, dawn was breaking. Presence wasn't merely a relaxation technique. It was the origin of martial efficacy. When you are totally here, you do not react from anxiety or logic. You respond from the void. And the void is always faster, always truer, always stronger than intellect. That evening, the master summoned him. "Tomorrow," Yamamoto-sensei declared, "you face the steel." Takeshi felt a spike of adrenaline. He watched it fade. Here, now, just this. Yes, master, I am present. For the first time in 5 years, it wasn't a lie. Before witnessing Takeshi's fate, let us decode the biology of his transformation. Modern science has validated what samurai intuited centuries ago. Presence is a mechanical skill that rewires gray matter. When Takeshi practiced mindfulness, he was powering down his default mode network. This circuit governs wandering thoughts, ego defense, and time-traveling anxiety. Every time he wrestled his focus back to the sensory immediate, he hypertrophied his prefrontal cortex, the commander of attention and emotional breaks. This is not magic, it is biological architecture. Data on meditators confirms thicker cortical tissue in regions managing focus and reduced firing in the amygdala, the fear switch. The samurai lacked MRI scanners, but they mastered the software. Miyamoto Musashi, Japan's sword saint, wrote in The Book of Five Rings, "In strategy, gaze at distant things as if they were near, and near things as if they were distant. This is presence, the capacity to witness danger without drowning in it." Takuan Soho, a Zen advisor to warlords, described it as the flowing mind. If the mind halts on any object, the flow is severed and the warrior dies. Psychology labels this flow state. The samurai named it mushin. But there is a deeper gear. When Takeshi fought Kenji from the void, his fear center was offline. His body accessed drilled patterns without the lag of conscious approval. This is the meaning of no mind. It isn't an empty head. It's a head where thoughts hold no authority. The Hagakure, the grim manual of warrior ethics, advises meditation on inevitable death should be performed daily. Imagine being torn apart by arrows and steel every morning. It sounds psychotic, but it is functional. By accepting the worst outcome, the samurai amputated the paralysis of fear. You cannot dictate the result. When you are fully here, fear remains, but it no longer drives the car. You feel it, salute it, and execute. This is Fudoshin. Takeshi had unlocked this not by reading, but by being. Through 30 days of choosing reality over noise, he was ready. Dawn broke over the courtyard. Takeshi stood in his hakama, gripping oak. Opposite him, Master Yamamoto held a live katana, razor-sharp folded steel. This was the law. The pupil wields wood, the teacher wields death. The disparity in arms represents the disparity in wisdom. One error could end Takeshi's life. Students and masters from allied schools lined the perimeter, witnesses to glory or tragedy. Yamamoto spoke, his voice piercing the quiet. Takeshi has labored for 5 years. Today, he meets the truth. Not to conquer me, that is futile, but to exhibit spirit, to manifest presence under the blade, to prove his worth. The old master dropped into a combat stance. The steel caught the morning light. Takeshi's heart hammered against his ribs. His hands yearned to tremble. What if I die? What if I trip? What if? The new Takeshi inhaled, felt the gravel under his soles, heard the bamboo sway, saw the angle of the blade. Here, now, only this. The master struck. A probing cut, fast but controlled, targeting the shoulder. Takeshi's body answered. No theory, no scheme, just presence. He slid aside. The steel hissed past his ear. He countered with the wood, not to harm, but to fill the void. The master parried. Reset. They circled. A second attack, blindingly fast. A high feint into a low sweep. Takeshi flowed. His limbs moved before his brain could interfere. Block, evade, strike. The steel never grazed him. Murmurs rippled through the audience. This was rare. Most students spent this trial fleeing in panic. Takeshi was conversing, adapting, existing. The master ramped up the pressure, killing speed. And here is where the shift happened. Takeshi stopped trying to succeed. He stopped trying to dazzle. He stopped trying. He simply existed with each microsecond. The duel became a dance. The master would offer energy. Takeshi would redirect it. Zanshin. Even after a block, his awareness remained expansive. 3 minutes evaporated, an eternity in battle. Then the master did something strange. He offered a gap, a wide, inviting hole in his defense. Most pupils would have lunged, desperate for a point. Takeshi saw it, acknowledged it, and froze. Presence revealed the lie. It was a snare, a bait to overextend. He waited. The master saw the recognition. A silent understanding passed. Yamamoto-sensei lowered the blade, stepped back, and bowed. Enough, you pass. Then applause erupted. Takeshi bowed, shaking now, not from terror, but from the release of massive voltage. Later, in the privacy of the tea room, the master spoke. Takeshi, 5 years ago, you arrived seeking to be the deadliest swordsman. Today, you became something superior. You became present. The blade is a trinket. Presence is the artillery. When you refused that bait, you displayed wisdom. The novice tries to win every exchange. The master knows some victories are traps. Takeshi listened, but a new hunger stirred. Master, I have the title. I am samurai. Yet, I feel this is the prologue, not the conclusion. Yamamoto smiled. Correct. This is the first metamorphosis, student to samurai. But there is a second, samurai to master. For that, you must vacate this dojo. Takeshi blinked. Leave? I am dispatching you to the temple on Mount Koya. You will train with the monks for 1 year, not in combat, but in pure stillness. Because the next tier of power isn't about fighting better, it's about transcending the fight. Mount Koya, a sacred peak hosting an ancient Zen order. Takeshi arrived with his blades, his rank, and his ego. The abbot, Master Ikkyu, regarded him with eyes that had watched 60 winters. Abandon your steel at the gate. You have no use for it here. But Master, I am a warrior. Here you are nothing. Here you are a beginner. Here you learn to sit. Thus began the most brutal year of his existence. No drills, no glory, nothing that he identified as warrior. Just zazen, sitting, watching the mind, being. The first month was psychological torture. Takeshi's mind raged. This is insanity. I am a lethal weapon. I should be refining my cuts, not imitating a stone. His joints screamed. His back fired with pain. His brain flooded with regrets and fantasies. Master Ikkyu patrolled the hall with a keisaku, a flat wooden stick. Whenever he spotted a mind drifting, visible in slumping posture or ragged breath, he would strike the shoulder. Thwack! Takeshi was struck often. But he stayed because he trusted Yamamoto's judgment. Month 2 brought a key turning point. During a chaotic session, Takeshi was drowning in frustration. Then, Master Ikkyu rang the bell. Walking meditation. The monks began a slow, hypnotic circuit. 1 step, 1 breath. Heel, toe, total focus. Click. Takeshi realized presence isn't about silencing the mind. It is about detaching from it. Thoughts were inevitable. The choice was, do you chase them or let them drift like clouds? He began observing his anxiety. Ah, there is fear. Interesting. He returned to the step. The thoughts persisted, but they lost their gravity. Months 3 through 6 were a deepening. The monastery routine became his universe. 4 a.m. rise, sit, porridge in silence, labor, chopping logs, hauling buckets, tending soil, more sitting, sutras, sleep. Every action was a drill in presence. When splitting timber, be the axe, the wood, the arc. When reading, be the ink. Takeshi found layers of now he never knew existed. Surface presence, focusing on the job. Deep presence, feeling the gap between thoughts. Abyssal presence, identifying the awareness that watches the thoughts. The masters called this original mind. The screen on which the movie plays never burned by the fire in the film. Month 7 brought a mission. Master EQ summoned him. You have survived 6 months. You can sit in peace. Now you must be present in disorder. He handed Takeshi a scroll. A village 3 days away is under siege. Bandits. The elder begs for aid. You go alone. Resolve this. Return. Takeshi felt the old wiring spark. Finally, a fight. I will demonstrate my power. Then he caught himself. Ah, the ego. Interesting. He bowed. Yes, master. IQ added. Remember, the objective is not to slaughter bandits. The objective is presence. Whatever unfolds, stay here. That is the test. The village was tiny, paralyzed by dread. The headman wept as he spoke. Ronin, masterless samurai, they steal our harvest, our coin. We are farmers. We cannot resist. How many? 5, led by Katsuro, a fallen samurai turned criminal. That night, Takeshi sat, 5 against 1. The old Takeshi would be strategizing, sweating, visualizing his death. The new Takeshi sat with the fear. Fear is here, natural. He did not suppress it. He did not obey it. He anchored in the breath. The outcome is smoke. Only this moment is solid. Dawn. The bandits rode in. 5 rough men, led by Katsuro, a giant with dead eyes. Takeshi walked out to the dirt road, unarmed. The bandits guffawed. They hired a bodyguard? One boy? Go home, child. Takeshi stood in perfect stillness, grounded, alert. Katsuro stopped laughing. The quietude radiating from the boy was unnerving. You differ from the usual peasants. Who taught you? Master Yamamoto and Master Ikkyu. Katsuro's eyes narrowed. Names of legends. So, you intend to stop us? Takeshi offered a soft smile. I am not here to stop you. I am here to speak, warrior to warrior. The bandits were baffled. Where was the rage, the challenge? Takeshi continued, his voice level. Katsuro-san, you once held honor. You served. What reduced you to this? A shadow crossed the bandit's face. My lord fell. My honor rotted with him. This, he swept his hand at the huts, is all that remains. No, Takeshi said. Your honor is not dead. It is sleeping, buried under grief. It is still there. The crew shifted, uneasy. This wasn't the script. Takeshi stepped closer. Open hands, open heart. Bushido binds you to a lord. But what if there is a higher authority? What if you serve that which cannot be slain? And what is that? Katsuro asked, hand hovering over his hilt, yet paralyzed by curiosity. Presence. The part of you that endures when titles vanish. Master IQ taught me. You can lose your rank, your land, your life. You cannot lose your nature. Silence lay heavy over the village. Katsuro stared at this anomaly. A boy facing 5 killers with nothing but radical truth. You are brave or insane. Perhaps. But I am present. And I offer a choice. Walk this path of misery, or remember who you are. One henchman snapped. Enough talk! Cut him down! He drew and charged. Takeshi did not flinch. He did not shift. He projected absolute, non-violent presence. The utter lack of fear acted like a wall. The blade stopped inches from his neck. The attacker couldn't finish it. The dissonance between his violence and Takeshi's peace was too great. He stumbled back. Katsuro watched this unfold. Then the impossible happened. He dropped to his knees. He bowed his head. "Forgive me. I forgot. I forgot the way." The gang looked at their leader in horror. Katsuro rose. "We leave. We do not return." He looked at Takeshi. "Where is this Master Ikkyu?" "Mount Koya. He accepts all who seek." "I may find him, if he takes broken men." "There are no broken men," Takeshi replied. "Only men who have forgotten they are whole." They vanished. The village was secure, not by blood, but by being. Takeshi returned to the mountain. Ikkyu awaited him. "Report." Takeshi told the tale. The abbot nodded. "The lesson?" Takeshi paused. The realization hit him like a wave. "I learned that presence is the ultimate weapon. It doesn't defeat enemies, it transforms them. When you are fully grounded, you become a mirror." Katsuro saw his own nobility reflected in my stillness. My lack of resistance broke their violence. Presence does not fight, it just is, and that isness conquers steel. Ikkyu beamed. "Yes, this is the secret of the saints. The highest victory is not winning conflicts, but rendering them unnecessary." Musashi won 60 duels, yet in his final years he wrote of walking the path alone. He wasn't talking about killing, he was talking about stepping with total awareness. The novice asks, "How do I win?" The adept asks, "How do I stay focused?" The master realizes, if I am truly present, there is no battle. Shoshin is seeing the world new. Zanshin is eternal vigilance.
Fudoshin is unshakable peace. You learn these through the sword. Now you know they apply to tea, to speech, to breath. You are truly samurai now, a warrior who cultivates life. Takeshi bowed until his forehead touched the mats. "Thank you, Master. Your time here is done."
"Where to?" "Back to the dojo, not to learn, to teach." "Good, the wheel turns. Go." 10 years later, Takeshi runs the school. Yamamoto has retired to the hills. A new disciple enters, young, talented, vibrating with anxiety. A mirror of the past.
"Master Takeshi, I wish to be the greatest sword in Japan."
Takeshi smiles. He knows this song. "Come, sit." They kneel before the shrine. "See this scroll? Shoshin. What does it mean?" "To be humble?" "Yes, and to be here, not in the future where you are a legend, but here. Because here is a secret. There is no moment where you become the greatest. There is only this breath and the next. If you master this breath, you learn what the masters know. The sword is a prop. Presence is the weapon. It doesn't make you famous. It makes you free." The boy looks confused. "Just as Takeshi once did." I don't understand, Master." "You will." Takeshi hands him a broom. "Sweep, and when you sweep, only sweep. Can you do that?" The boy looks let down, but nods. "Yes, Sensei." Takeshi watches him begin, sees the wandering mind, the impatience, the ghost of his younger self. He smiles. The cycle renews. The wisdom survives not in books, but in the transmission of presence. This is the way. Not force, but awareness. Not doing, but being. The samurai path isn't about the kill. It's about the life found in the depth of the moment. If you are ready to walk this road, to train in the timeless arts that forge modern resilience, join us. Subscribe, train, transform. Walk with presence.
Live with purpose. Become unshakable.
See you in the next lesson, warrior.